Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are here with the start of our all new F2 24 career mode. Yes, we're back as is tradition now on the channel with an all new F2 series. Of course, you guys voted in your thousands on the video I did earlier on in the week on Monday, and yeah, the winning driver, as you can probably tell already by the title, is going to be Andrea-Kimi Antonelli. So we're going to be racing with the Prema F1 team throughout the course of this 14 race weekend season. 28 races ahead of us here in FIA Formula 2. For those of you that are new to the channel and don't know how this series works, normally the videos will go live on a Saturday and Sunday around the F1 Grand Prix weekend. But of course, where we've got the Lando Norris F1 Championship as well, trying to make him world champion, some of the videos might appear a little bit odd, of course, over the weeks as well. But yeah, normally this series obviously is going to be dictated or kind of dedicated to the weekends as well. Now, fun fact, if you want to go in and do an F2 championship inside F1 24, don't click the real life calendar. For some reason, they forgot that F2's racing in Qatar this year, so I've had to go through and make a custom calendar ready for this series. And yeah, obviously, we are going to be racing alongside Ollie Bearman, of course, the man that we actually drove as in last year's version of this series. But yeah, this time round, we're going to be racing as Andrea-Kimi Antonelli, and maybe, just maybe, if we win the championship, we will make the move up to Formula 1 as well and do a series in the Mercedes car as well in the not too distant future. Now, for the first couple of episodes, I'm going to keep the AI difficulty slightly down at 102, just as obviously I try and learn the car, learn the settings and everything like that. Of course, it's going to be a one-shot qualifying format with both the sprint and the feature races, 50% Grand Prix as we normally do inside this game. Now, I'm hoping that they've made sure they've got kind of the weekend format correct. So in Formula 2 this year, you have qualifying, then the sprint race, and then the feature race. Obviously, qualifying is done as normal. Top 10 in qualifying, and then reverse for the sprint. And then for the actual Grand Prix, the feature race on Sunday, it's just the qualifying order. So qualifying is even more important than it has been in previous years as well. There are, of course, dynamic weather, everything like that. We're going to go with an approximate forecast accuracy as well. Not that it tends to make too much difference inside this game. We'll obviously make sure that the red flags are on as well. But yeah, we'll leave them on increase so we actually get some of them. I tend to add all of the increased things inside the game, just so that, yeah, like I said, you actually end up with some of them. Everything else is as normal inside this series as well. So yeah, the first of 28 races gonna be coming up ahead of us. Like I said, hopefully if the format is correct, we'll do qualifying in the sprint race in today's video, and then tomorrow will be the feature race as well. Get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 140,000 subscribers. But yeah, let's do this thing. Well, here we are then down in the pit lane, ready for our first one-shot qualifying session of the year then. And as you would have seen if you watched the other video we did earlier on in the week, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to set up these cars just yet. So we're probably going to have to try a few different things throughout the first weekend of the season. Of course, something that plagued Prema pretty much throughout most of the campaign so far, IRL in 2024 as well. But obviously just want to try and make sure that we get the car all figured out. You know, we don't want to run too much, you know, big risk on the setup either. You know, we want a car that's going to be drivable. But let's do this thing then. Ready for our first ever one-shot qualifying session here in these new Formula 2 cars. I'm looking forward to this. I think this season is going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, normally this first weekend is kind of a bit more of a learning curve for us. Just working out how everything works. And obviously how to try and maximise the car as well there. Now, qualifying, for those of you that don't know, if you claim pole position in Formula 2, you do get 2 bonus points. So whoever takes pole on Friday night will take an early championship lead into the first round of the season. But yeah, qualifying margins are going to be incredibly close. So it is going to be interesting, you know, to see whether anybody kind of takes a dominant run of pole positions or anything like that this season. And so far, Dennis Hauger, obviously very, very experienced now in FIA Formula 2, seems to have built up an early lead in this session then, as down through turn 9 and turn 10. Oh, got to be so careful. Just felt the car trying to under-rotate at the front and over-rotate at the rear of the car as well there. But yeah, we are a little way off the pace at the moment. I'm hoping we're not going to be a million miles off, but yeah, like I said, you know, this first round for me is far more about kind of trying to settle in and everything like that. And especially with the one-stop qualifying, of course, the AI, you know, they just obviously immediately go in and race quite quickly. It does take me a little while to warm up as well inside this series, but, you know, anything can happen here in Formula 2, and usually it does. As Dennis Hauger then makes his way through the final couple of corners, we've lost less and less time as the lap has gone on, so as we make our way out of the final corner then, I think we are going to qualify last on the grid, but we weren't a million miles away either. Well, there we go then. Dennis Hauger takes pole position by just under 1/10 of a second ahead of Paul Aaron and our teammate Ollie Behrman there. Franco Colapinto in P4 ahead of Gabriele Bortoletto, Richard Verschoor, Victor Martins, Josh Dirksen, Isaac Hadjar, and it will be Enzo Fittipaldi that will start this one from the pole position as well then. Real-life double winner here, Zane Maloney, all the way down in P17. We were 1.6 seconds off the pace of anybody else, but I feel like, yeah, we will hopefully be up to pace by the end of the sprint.
So today, the sprint race, no pit stops, just full-on pace. It's all about speed, daring, and sheer driving skill. What, I wonder, is in store for us today? Bahrain represents an exceptional 3.36 miles of racing. Lots of opportunities to overtake throughout its 15 corners. Now, this track has built a reputation for being brutal on the rear tyres, so keep an eye on how these young drivers manage their rubber. Strategy here could ultimately determine the winner of the race. It's Formula 2, it is the sprint race. I'm Alex Jakes, Alex Brundle is alongside me. Now Alex, there's no mandatory stop in the rules, but this is Formula 2. Anything could happen.
We have seen stops before at the end of the sprint race, jumping onto that softer compounded tyre and having at it for the final few laps of the race. Indeed, we've seen sprint races won like that, so anything can happen out there. Don't send the pit crew home just yet.
If we don't want to be stuck near the back for most of the race, you're going to need to push early on. Good luck.
Well, we better not send the pit crew home just yet, because of course we got a feature race tomorrow as well that we need to make sure, obviously we do have to pit during the feature race. Of course, sprints tend to, be no-stop strategies. Probably going to have to use the harder compounded tyre. I remember in F1 23, I believe, the strategy was kind of all over the place because, the tyres just could not last far enough in either of the races. I'm hoping they fix that inside F1 24, because ultimately it was pretty much a game-breaking glitch that kind of ruined our F2 career mode on that year's game. But ready then on the grid here for 12 laps in Bahrain. It is 5 red lights, and the F2 season gets underway there as we get off to a fairly good start there. Pepe Marti struggling to get off the line. Rafael Villagomez will immediately get around the outside of the Campos driver in towards turn 1. We are going to try and take it nice and easy. Whoa, into that first corner, he says that. And then immediately almost careens into the back of Jack Crawford. But we made up some spots off at turn 1. Zane Maloney, Amory Cordeal just now in front of me here as we make our way up the hill. But yeah, that's ended up being quite a good start then. As you can see, Stanek trying to look down the inside. Oh, with Kushmini there as well. Zane Maloney just trying to take things easy. I believe in his second Formula 2 season, of course, in 2024. Amory Cordeal has definitely done more than that and is still, for some reason, well, kicking around there as we're going to go 3 wide down in towards the hairpin. Zane Maloney there's kind of just going to get a little bit squeezed out as Cordeal absolutely wanted to try and commit down the inside, but we've had a very good start then. Up 6 places off the start of this one, so maybe the AI just looking very, very strong in qualifying. But of course, yeah, we're never afraid to get our elbows out either at the start of a GP there. Juan Manuel Correa next up on the old hit list though. So I just see the understeer as, still trying to get the tyre warm up into the car. We definitely don't have the same grip as we did in qualifying. There we go, Enzo Fittipaldi does still lead the way at the end of lap 1. He's already building up a little bit of a gap over the Campos of Isaac Hadjar, I believe that is, running in P2. I think we're running slightly higher downforce than most of the other runners here.
Wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as quickly as you can. Push, push.
Yeah, hopefully that won't be too much of an issue mark. There's Amory Cordeal. Will mug me off on the brakes down at turn 1. DRS now, I believe, does actually not get enabled until lap 3 still in Formula 2, as Zane Maloney now try and have a look as well. So maybe my lap 1 aggression already, AI trying to capitalise on that. We'll go side by side with Maloney down in towards the S's there. A brave manoeuvre around the outside, but we will pinch him over that curb and we will hang on. Zane Maloney again tries to have a look down the inside at the final corner. I'm just trying some different brake bias settings out to see if that can help us out here. And you can see the Barbados kid makes the move up into P17 once again, as Jack Crawford now trying to potentially line up a move down in towards turn 1. DRS surely now is enabled. Have I missed it? It certainly hasn't come up with anything there, as Rafael Villagomez as well try and have a look. There we go, yeah, DRS is enabled in this sprint, so we'll get an idea of just how powerful that is in these cars as well. But I think we need to try and hang on to Zane Maloney's coattails for a couple of laps, see if he can bring us back up to those cars in front. As always with these Formula 2 cars, the key to driving them seems to be smoothness. Ollie Behrman, yeah, still battling right up towards the front of the order. Jack Crawford, I mean, see how quickly that car settles around the outside. This really does feel like IRL what Preyrat's put up with in round 1 of the campaign. Because I remember as well, back then, they seemingly had no straight line speed in the car. Like I've said, you know, this opening round is always a bit of a learning curve for us. It's always quite tough to kind of get everything figured out. But I feel like instantly I've now got a brake bias that works quite nicely as well, that is allowing me to attack a bit more through the corners. I just wish I'd not put as much wing on the car. I mean, even now when we've got the DRS, we're still losing time down the straights to the cars around us there, as Rafael Villagomez now trying to have a look down the inside of turn 1. This was not the driver that I wanted to, you know, kind of be battling with early on in this race. Zach O'Sullivan as well, really struggling down towards the rear of the order. I mean, we're able to keep up with Crawford, I think, just about stay in that DRS range, but yeah, already the traction in these cars is so difficult to come by. But of course the AI, with their built-in traction control, they just pull away on every single corner exit. I mean, even there, we got a good run on the exit of that corner, and Rafael Villagomez still, I mean, admittedly he did have the DRS that time, but still able to fly down our inside as well. You can just see off of the corner, we got nothing. We got absolutely nothing against the AI. So maybe I can already start bringing out the Mechachrome excuses or something like that. But all those spots we gained at the start of this one, we are immediately losing here. You can see at the front of the order, you know, most people still pretty much in a train. There's a couple of cars that obviously have dropped back from that, as Isaac Hadjar, new fast lap of the day. He's 1.4 seconds quicker than us. Admittedly, he has got the DRS absolutely everywhere, but I think even if I nailed it, we would barely be down into the 1 minute 42s. As you can see now, even with the DRS, how little of a run we'll get on Rafael Villagomez back down towards turn 1. Can we go the long way around this time and just try to fight to hang on inside the top 20? We'll get the elbows out again with him. I'm sure Villagomez not too happy with the way I'm racing, as we've got yellows out. Not too sure who that is. I think that might be Gomez, who's out of the Grand Prix. So he might be the first driver then to get well and truly mecha-chromed here. Could that bring out a safety car in this first race? Apparently not. Oh, here we go. Pepe Marti now trying to have a look down the inside, so we'll be really cheeky and try to clean the DRS off him. But you can just see there, even Marti got a slide through that final corner, but is able to get the power down. And it's very much, you cannot do anything in the mid-corner. Still, yeah, here we're losing time to Ollie Behrman each and every lap. Probably to the surprise of absolutely nobody there, as a bit of a lock-up down in towards turn 1. But yeah, you can't do anything to correct the car, it feels like. It just constantly is on a knife edge early on, and the AI, of course, have no such problems with it. You know, you cannot just blip the throttle through a corner. You basically have to brake in a straight line, turn in, and then get on the throttle on the exit. And even there, when I felt like we got good hookup, we still lose another 10th to Marti. We have not taken the setup in the right direction this weekend, and boy oh boy is it costing us. As I mean, look at that again through there. You just cannot do anything with the car, and the AI, they just go goodbye. Well, Zach O'Sullivan seems to be the last man that we've got left to battle in this race, as Marti has once again just absolutely rocked off here. And what's worrying me even more His Crawford's got front wing damage and we're still... Sorry, O'Sullivan even's got front wing damage and still we're barely able to keep him at bay. Like I said, I think if we get it absolutely hooked up, we can nearly keep up with the AI. But yeah, I think for the second race here in Bahrain tomorrow, we are going to have to lower the difficulty just a little bit. Problem I've noticed as well, I think genuinely, some of you might have seen before inside F124, it's been an issue for so many years now on these games, but when you run the AI at Ultimate, to try and make them competitive, they give them more straight line speed. That kind of works sometimes in Formula 1, but obviously in Formula 2 when it is a spec series, and well, I don't want to make this again a rant about Mechachrome or anything like that, but it kind of just means you've got no chance whatsoever, because there isn't battery to play with or anything like that. It just means, I mean, even, yeah, O'Sullivan, who's got front wing damage, he can get the drive off of a corner, despite having less downforce on that car, and still get down the inside of us in towards that final turn. So it might well be that we have to run the AI on 99 difficulty, because otherwise they just are too OP inside this game. So I hope, if anything, you know, if you're planning on doing an F2 career mode yourself, you can try and use this as kind of a lesson as such. But as we make another lockup down at that first corner, though, we're losing a good 2-3 seconds a lap to those cars in front. But we've just got to try and make sure we beat O'Sullivan here, otherwise, well, it's a pretty disappointing day anyway. But we, you know, like I said, this is a learning experience. What? Hey, we got yellow flags out. What on earth is this? What on earth has gone on? We got yellow flags out there as this car's absolutely everywhere. Through the final couple of corners, we got an illegal overtake on Paul Aaron. Hopefully he'll try and get back past me pretty quickly there. So we're suddenly up to 11th place then, as O'Sullivan and I are going to gain loads of spots towards the end of this one. What on earth has happened here in Bahrain? I mean, Formula 2 has done Formula 2 things, and suddenly now, if we can keep up with Paul Aaron, we might be able to get a point from this opening race. I can't remember if it's I think it's only the top 8 in the sprint. It might be the top 10, so we're going to try and fight for it anyway, but suddenly chaos ensuing here in Bahrain, and we've been given a lifeline. Well, riding on board then with Isaac Hajar as he makes his way down in towards the final corner, leading this race then. He's just going to upset the rear of the car. So nice to see the AI can do it. And look at that. Every single other car in this race is going to get caught out by that. And everyone kind of left scrambling in where to go. Victor Martins is going to use that to move up to the lead of the race ahead of Bortoletto and Richard Verschoor. But you can just see further down the order, there are cars everywhere just trying to find their way through. Some of them have picked up front wing damage, I think, including Zane Maloney. And if we watch this from our POV at the rear of the field, just look at this as we come through, met with just a sea of Formula 2 cars here. I kind of didn't realise it in the moment, but we did a very good job kind of navigating our way through in the end. But just chaos in an instant here, and we've been able to capitalise. Although Sullivan again then, with just 2 laps to go, is going to try and go for this, and surely both of us are going to be vulnerable against other cars towards the end of this race. But yeah, I mean, something like that absolutely does help us out, and I'm not going to complain about it, but it does potentially hide what has been a very, very disappointing race on the most part. Bahrain is always a track the AI good at in any game anyway, in the F1 franchise, and hopefully Jeddah next time out will give us a bit of a better idea as well as to what we're doing. But if we end up with another interesting one like that, or strategy plays into effect tomorrow, I'd like to believe still we could try and leave this first weekend with a few points on the board. But yeah, only being able to battle a car that has lost half his front wing is probably an indicator that the AI might be set a little bit too difficult here. So we've got just over 1 lap to go then. I'm not even sure who it is at the front of the field now. It must be the other ART car. So that's got to be Victor Martins, surely, that has moved himself up to the front of the order then. So Victor Martins, I believe, he's going to start the last lap in the lead of the race, and he has had quite possibly one of the worst F2 seasons we have ever seen IRL in the campaign. Admittedly, I'm sure for him, this means, you know, very, very little in comparison, but to kickstart the year after being Rookie of the Year last season, certainly is going to be a good showing there, and he will stake his claim as a championship threat over the course of this season. As Ollie Behrman, yeah, was able to make his way through all of that chaos a bit earlier on as well in one piece. But can we just try and get the run on Zach O'Sullivan absolutely anywhere on this final lap? It doesn't look like the front wing damage is costing him much at all, not only against me, but also against anybody else here, as there is still a three-way scrap going on further up the road. But as we make our way up towards the top of the hill, 10 places gained in this sprint. But that will come with a huge asterisk alongside it. And I'm sure, yeah, we'll have to try and figure out some things after the race as well there, as we're going to let a few cars creep their way by as well. Barnard, Hadger, Hauger, and Pepe Marti all will say thank you very much, as we just took a little bit too much curb down through the S's there. And you can just see Hadjar and Barnard still battling it out on this final lap. Who is going to come out on top? Are we going to be able to capitalise on this? Is Pepe Marti looking as well for opportunities? Formula 2, it is chaos right from the beginning, right to the checkered flag. And it looks like the first round of this season as well is going to be no different there, as Hauger desperately tries to stay at the inside of Isaac Hadjar. Two Red Bull Juniors battling it out for P13 at the end of this race. But through the penultimate corner, Victor Martins is going to take the win for ART and kickstart the campaign the way he wants to continue there. We'll take a look at obviously all your final results in just a moment. But from the back of the grid, chaos helped us out a little bit, but it is a pretty disappointing P16. We know what we got to do. There is a lot of work that needs to be done by Prema.
He has left the field behind. He is heading to the top step. Victor Martins takes the checkered flag.
It might not be the same points as the feature race, but it is the same podium, and they get to wave at the fans from it.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill.
Best ranked rookie then, Victor Martins from last season, will kickstart this campaign with 10 points on the board there, ahead of Gabriel Bortoletto, of course, the F3 champion from last season. Richard Verschoor ahead of Colapinto, with Behrman, Fittipaldi, Cordial, and Hauger rounding out your point scores there, with Rotoma Miata as well getting a point. Oh yes, so of course, obviously Hauger, we're not looking at our final sprint race results there, are we, in the end? So Rotoma Miata, yeah, with that final points paying position in the end, ahead of Dirksen and Paul Aaron as well. Disappointing for us. For some reason, we were given driver of the day still. I would have said Zach O'Sullivan or somebody else probably did deserve that one rather than myself. But chaos as well. I think Taylor Barnard, Zane Maloney, they are the only two drivers to have finished that race exactly where they started in the end. Kushmaini and Rafael Villagomez both failed to see the checkered flag. But yeah, when you take a look at our fastest lap, we were definitely a few tenths away. So for the race tomorrow, we will lower that AI just a little bit as well there. Because yeah, at the moment, the AI just seemed to be a little bit too OP through the corners and in the traction zones as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back tomorrow when Formula 2 returns here in Sakhir.